The Village wasn't just a twist movie, it was a constructed lie that fooled everyone twice. When it hit theaters in 2004, audiences argued about the ending, but no one realized the chaos behind it. Gravestones that gave away the truth in frame 1, blindfolded rehearsals that turned into genuine danger, and a director hiding modern construction in plain sight while actors navigated forests designed to confuse them. These are 20 hidden details you completely missed about The Village. Number 1, the gravestone in the opening scene gives away the twist. The film opens with grief, mourners gathered around fresh earth and a polished headstone, but look closer at that granite marker. The edges are machine cut, perfectly symmetrical, polished to a mirror shine. No 19th century village possessed the industrial tools to achieve that level of precision. Hand-carved stones showed chisel marks, irregular surfaces, weathering that took decades. This one looks like it came from a modern funeral home. Director M. Night Shyamalan called it his first confession, hiding the modern world in plain sight while emotion distracted every eye in the theater. The twist sits right there in the opening frame, carved into stone, waiting for anyone willing to look past the tears. Production designer Rick Carter confirmed the props department deliberately chose a contemporary gravestone style, betting that grief would blind viewers to the architectural impossibility. Number 2, the film was shot almost entirely on a real farm. Shyamalan rejected studio backlots from the beginning. He wanted total authenticity, complete immersion, a world the cast could believe in without effort or pretense. So the entire village rose from the ground on an actual working farm outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Every cabin, every meeting hall, every schoolhouse was constructed from scratch on remote farmland. The location did exactly what he hoped. Cell service vanished. Modern distractions faded into nothing. Cast members said they genuinely forgot what year it was after enough time on set. The isolation so complete it felt like stepping through a portal. Production notes describe actors wandering the village between takes, sitting in character on porch steps, living inside the 1890s without breaking. The forced disconnect made the period feel real because nothing reminded them otherwise. Number 3, Bryce Dallas Howard rehearsed scenes blindfolded. Shyamalan didn't want Ivy's blindness to look performed or approximated. He wanted it lived, felt, instinctive in every movement. So he asked actor Bryce Dallas Howard to rehearse major scenes blindfolded without dialogue cues, without crew talk, without environmental guidance of any kind. She learned to map entire sets through sound alone, through shifts in air pressure, through the texture of silence in different spaces. Her spatial awareness developed over weeks of stumbling, reaching, adjusting to a world she couldn't see. By the time cameras rolled, her body moved with caution that wasn't acted. It was survival training disguised as performance. Muscle memory built from genuine disorientation. She stopped thinking about where to step and started feeling it. The realism in her hesitations, her head tilts, her careful hand placements came from weeks of navigating sets in total darkness. Number 4, Joaquin Phoenix rewrote his entire confession scene. The original script gave Lucius a clear, articulate monologue about his feelings for Ivy, multiple paragraphs of poetic dialogue, carefully structured emotion. Joaquin Phoenix rejected it outright the moment he read it. He believed Lucius could barely process emotion, let alone articulate it with literary precision. A man that silent, that internal, wouldn't suddenly become eloquent. Moments before filming, he scribbled new lines on scrap paper, fragments and hesitations, half-finished thoughts, and whispered them to Shyamalan. That vulnerable, broken confession wasn't polished screenplay dialogue. It was created on the spot by an actor who understood his character better than the words on the page. What audiences saw was raw, unfinished emotion spilling out in real time, a man struggling to speak feelings he'd buried for years. The scene became one of the film's most powerful moments precisely because it abandoned structure for authenticity. Number 5, the red cloaks were engineered to trigger fear. Shyamalan rejected the first 6 creature suit designs because they didn't unsettle him personally. They looked scary in obvious ways. Monster movie costumes with claws and teeth. He wanted something deeper, more primal. He wanted movement that felt wrong, something the human eye couldn't predict or reconcile with natural motion. So the costume team added weighted hems that dragged unevenly and uneven fur panels that created unpredictable drifting. The creatures moved like people pretending to be animals, their gait subtly off in ways the brain couldn't quite identify. Even off camera, extras said walking past the cloaks made them physically tense, their bodies responding to something wrong before their minds understood why. The suits weren't built to look scary through design alone. They were built to move in ways that triggered instinctive fear responses, something primal the conscious mind couldn't explain. Number 6, Ivy's walking pace matches her heart rate. Before filming her journey through the woods, Bryce Dallas Howard wore a heart monitor during rehearsals. The production team wanted to track her stress responses, see how fear affected her physically under blindfolded conditions. Shyamalan noticed something unexpected during playback analysis. Her walking speed naturally slowed whenever her heartbeat spiked, fear literally controlling her pace without conscious thought or direction. It was pure biology, the cardiovascular system overriding intentional movement. He told her to maintain that exact pattern while shooting, to let her fear dictate her speed. What looks like careful, calculated performance is actually a biological response to genuine danger. The rhythm of her walk throughout the film mirrors real cardiovascular stress patterns, fear measured in steps per minute. Medical consultants confirmed the correlation was consistent with fight or flight responses, the body prioritizing caution over speed when threat levels increase. Number 7. Adrien Brody stayed in character the entire shoot. Adrien Brody never fully broke from Noah between takes or after shooting wrapped for the day. He wandered the set quietly, shoulders rounded, hands fidgeting with invisible objects, gaze unfocused and distant. Cast members said his presence was unpredictable and occasionally unnerving, at times gentle and childlike, at other moments eerie and unreadable. He'd appear behind people without warning, standing too close, watching with Noah's confused intensity. Shyamalan never asked for method acting or immersion techniques, never requested that kind of commitment. Brody just fell into Noah's world and didn't climb out until filming wrapped entirely. His performance carries an authenticity that comes from living inside the character's fractured mind for months, understanding Noah's confusion and pain from the inside. Other actors described moments where they forgot they were talking to Brody, so complete was his transformation into someone else. Number 8. Yellow was treated like a living prop. Every appearance of the safe color was planned, tracked, and approved by multiple departments before appearing on screen. No yellow object, not even a ribbon or scrap of fabric, could appear in frame unless its placement supported the scene's emotional architecture and narrative purpose. The props department maintained a master list of every yellow item in the film, tracking its location and symbolic weight. Shyamalan said yellow symbolized fragile safety, something that could vanish at any moment without warning or explanation. It represented hope built on lies, comfort that couldn't withstand scrutiny. Yellow isn't decoration in the village. It's narrative structure disguised as costume design, a visual language the audience learns without realizing they're being taught rules. Rick Carter described yellow as the film's security blanket, something characters cling to because the alternative is facing darkness they can't control. Number 9. Hilary Hahn's violin was recorded like an ancient ritual. Composer James Newton Howard wanted the score to feel timeless, music untouched by modern structure, polish, or digital precision. So violinist Hilary Hahn recorded solos in single takes with no click track, following her own shifting tempo instead of mathematical consistency. She played each piece beginning to end without stops, without corrections, letting emotion guide the rhythm. Her bow trembles audibly in quiet moments because she wasn't being corrected, smoothed, or auto-tuned in post-production. Every imperfection remained, every human hesitation preserved. The soundtrack isn't polished perfection designed for commercial appeal. It's alive, breathing, vulnerable in ways most film scores never allow themselves to be. Howard said he wanted music that sounded like it came from the village itself, played by someone who'd never heard a metronome or recording studio, someone for whom music was prayer rather than performance. Number 10. The wood set was intentionally built as a maze. Production designers didn't mark paths or create predictable geography in the forest surrounding the village. They planted repeating tree clusters, curved trails that doubled back on themselves, and misleading clearings that looked like exits but led nowhere. The goal was disorientation, making the woods genuinely confusing rather than just visually dense. Actors could never memorize the layout because the layout was designed to be unmemorable, every section bleeding into the next without clear landmarks. Bryce Dallas. Howard got lost so often during blindfolded rehearsals that the crew stationed silent spotters behind trees for safety, ready to guide her back if she wandered too far from the designated shooting area. Every stumble visible on screen isn't acting or choreography, it's someone genuinely trying to navigate a forest that was designed from the ground up to confuse them. Number 11. The creatures were meant to look human but wrong. Shyamalan told the creature designers that the monsters shouldn't resemble animals at all, shouldn't follow traditional monster movie aesthetics. They should look like people trying to imitate animals, something uncanny and impossible to categorize. So the design team blended human silhouettes with exaggerated proportions, long limbs that bent at slightly wrong angles, uneven posture that suggested injury or deformity, and a swaying gait that never quite matched the body shape. Nothing about them is monstrous in isolation. It's the combination that unsettles viewers, the brain insisting something human is inside that suit long before the truth is revealed through dialogue. The uncanny valley effect was deliberate, creating creatures that felt familiar familiar and alien simultaneously. Costume supervisor Ann Roth studied photographs of people in animal costumes from various cultures, then deliberately made the proportions wrong, the movements too human, the posture too self-aware. Number 12, Ivy navigates by air currents, not sound. Bryce Dallas. Howard discovered during early rehearsals that slight pressure changes could guide her movements more reliably than sound alone. Breezes through door frames, temperature shifts near open fields, air stillness in enclosed spaces all became navigational tools. She incorporated that sensation into Ivy's performance without telling Shyamalan or the crew, keeping it as a private character choice. Watch carefully and you'll notice Ivy lifts her chin before major steps, pausing to feel the air for distance and obstacles before committing to movement. It's a subtle detail that sells her blindness more convincingly than any cane tap or obvious audio cue ever could. The technique came from Howard's research into how actually blind individuals navigate unfamiliar spaces, many relying on air pressure and temperature gradients as much as sound. Number 13, the elders never look directly at the red cloaks. In every scene involving the creatures, the elders avert their eyes or glance sideways instead of staring directly at them. This was an accident, blocking limitation, or continuity error. Shyamalan instructed them specifically to look ashamed, to carry guilt in their posture, and gaze every time the monsters appeared. They're not scared of the creatures themselves. They're scared of what they created, what they perpetuate through deception, what their lies have become over decades. The averted eyes tell the truth long before the dialogue does, revealing discomfort that goes beyond fear into something closer to regret. Actor William Hurt described the direction as playing someone who can't face their own reflection, treating the creatures as mirrors rather than threats. The elders know exactly what's inside those suits, and that knowledge makes looking at them unbearable. Number 14, Noah's dance was completely improvised. The eerie spinning, laughing, off-balance dance Noah performs in the village square wasn't scripted, choreographed, or planned in any way. Adrien Brody drifted into it during a rehearsal, trying to explore the character's emotional volatility and mental fragmentation through physical movement. He started spinning slowly, laughing without clear reason, his body language suggesting both joy and pain simultaneously. Shyamalan watched in complete silence from behind the monitor, then said only, "Do it again, but slower and sadder." The scene remained untouched through final cut, exactly as Brody had improvised it. What looks like carefully planned choreography was actually spontaneous exploration that worked too well to change, too authentic to polish. The dance became one of the film's most haunting images precisely because it wasn't designed for the camera. It was a character expressing himself in the only way he knew how. Number 15, the elders pause before answering simple questions. Watch their dialogue closely throughout the film, paying attention to rhythm rather than content. Whenever someone asks about the creatures or the village's history, the elders hesitate for a beat longer than necessary before responding. It's not poor acting, awkward pacing, or editing mistakes. Shyamalan told them to respond like people stalling for time to maintain a lie, like parents caught off guard by a child's too perceptive question. They need that extra second to remember the agreed upon story, to coordinate their deception. Their silence is the first crack in the mythology, visible long before the truth emerges in dialogue. William Hurt said the direction was to answer every question like you're translating from a foreign language, creating that slight delay while the brain processes and selects the correct lie. Number 16, Joaquin Phoenix refused to speak to anyone while filming. Phoenix kept Lucius's quiet, distant emotional state between takes, rarely breaking character even during lunch or downtime. Cast and crew said he'd appear suddenly behind them without making a sound, startling multiple extras throughout production. He moved through the set like a ghost, present but separate, watching without engaging. It wasn't method acting in the traditional sense, more like staying inside Lucius's stillness and isolation, inhabiting the character's watchful silence even when cameras weren't rolling. The choice added raw authenticity to his performance, making Lucius feel genuinely separate from the world around him rather than just playing at distance. Bryce Dallas Howard said conversations with Phoenix during filming felt like talking to Lucius, not the actor. His response is minimal and carefully considered. The separation created an atmosphere that benefited every scene they shared. Number 17, the village has modern house patterns. If you study the houses carefully throughout the film, their construction gives away the illusion long before the twist reveals itself through dialogue. The spacing between boards is perfectly uniform, measured with industrial precision. The joints are machine straight, cut with power tools. Several window frames show router cut edges and factory milled glass, impossible with the hand tools a genuine 19th century village would have possessed. Nothing is handmade the way the elders claim it to be, the way it would need to be to support their mythology. The architecture quietly reveals the truth throughout the entire runtime, whispering that something doesn't match. The village isn't old or authentic, it's manufactured, built with modern precision, and disguised confused with dirt, weathering, and deliberate imperfection. Production designer Rick Carter said they made the construction 85% accurate to the period, leaving intentional modern tells for observant viewers to catch. Number 18. Ivy's final journey had no structure. Shyamalan refused to give Bryce Dallas Howard any positional notes for her trek to the towns beyond the village. No marks on the ground indicating where to step, no timing cues for when to pause or stumble, no designated path through the trees or clearings. She was simply released into the woods, blindfolded with minimal guidance, and told to find her way forward. Every stumble, hesitation, and moment of courage is genuine because she was navigating unfamiliar terrain with no vision and limited instruction. It's one of the few scenes in modern cinema where the chaos wasn't an accident or special effect. It was the direction deliberately chosen to capture real uncertainty and fear. Howard described it as terrifying, never knowing if she was about to walk into a tree or fall into a hidden depression. Number 19, the final elder scene was shot in complete silence. Shyamalan ordered total stillness on set during the elders' final conversation, the scene where they discuss Ivy's journey and what it means for their carefully constructed world. No walking, talking, or even heavy breathing was allowed while cameras rolled. Crew members stood frozen in place, barely moving. He wanted the actors to feel trapped, frozen by their decades-long lie with nowhere left to hide from consequences. The uneasy stillness audiences feel in that scene isn't editing, sound design, or post-production manipulation. The room genuinely wasn't moving. The air thick with held breath. Everyone held their position, and that physical tension translated directly to film. William Hurt described it as one of the most uncomfortable scenes he'd ever filmed. The silence so complete he could hear his own heartbeat between lines. Number 20, the entire cast believed the village was real. Shyamalan enforced total isolation during production. No modern technology on set, no newspapers, no radios breaking the immersion. Actors lived in the village between takes, ate period-appropriate meals prepared in cast iron over open fires, and slept in the cabins they inhabited on camera. The psychological effect was profound and immediate. After 2 weeks, cast members stopped referencing modern life in casual conversation, stopped checking the time compulsively, stopped thinking about the world beyond the trees. Joaquin Phoenix described it as Stockholm Syndrome with a film set, his mind accepting the 1890s as reality because nothing contradicted it. The performances carry weight because the actors weren't pretending to live in that time period. They were living in it, fully committed to a constructed reality that felt more authentic than the modern world waiting beyond the cameras. The village may look calm on the surface, all muted colors and careful whispers, a period piece wrapped in mystery, but every frame was shaped by blindfolded rehearsals that turned dangerous, last-second rewrites scribbled on scrap paper, malfunctioning creature suits that barely functioned properly, and hidden clues the film practically whispered at audiences from the opening shot. But the craftsmanship behind it was never about surprise alone. It was about control, isolation, grief, and the stories people build to survive their own pain. Which of these secrets caught you off guard, and what movie should we uncover next?